Welcome, creative designers. This is just a quick demonstration as to how you can go about designing a top. You can see I've got a sphere here, and that represents a 16 millimeter marble. And what's going to end up happening is when you're done with this type of profile, you'll revolve that profile. So it automatically just selected that, and over here this red field, I have to click in there and choose this axis. Oh, why that just went away. There it goes. One of the things you can do is change your visibility while you're designing things here. Shaded with edges to translucent, then you can see right through things if need be. And you can see the sketch and what happened with that revolve there. Go back to shaded with edges. Alright, so it's just an example, and then we have to put something to grip and make it easy to spin on the top of that. But you're really free to do whatever you want as long as it's got this overall set of dimensions. I can get into a little bit more that detail later, but let's just get started with the basics. You're going to start by creating the marble, just because it's going to be easier for you to work around it in this program. So if you click sketch, click the front plane, just click on the front over here on that cube, and it'll spin it so it's easier for you to see. And center point circle, click in the middle, drag outwards, and then when you click and see that white box, you can just type in the number that you want for your measurement there. 16 is how many millimeters in diameter that marble is going to be. Right now it's just 2D. Watch, this is how you make it 3D. Click the line tool. You gotta make sure you're hovering over the vertical center line here. You'll get that orange dot. Sorry about the alarm. But you just draw a line across the circle like so, and you have that little tag. Hit escape. That'll end that line. There's a trim tool. And you see when you hover over all these, they also have shortcuts. You can, if you're comfortable and quick to learn, you can type M on the keyboard and it'll launch that. You just click on half the circle. So you want a semicircle there, and then click revolve. It should highlight this shape, and then you have to, where it's red, you click where it's red there, and then click the line, and now you have a sphere or marble. And you can always mess with colors as you go here. And then what you're going to do again is sketch on the same front plane to make the top. And what we'll do is we'll use this edge to start where that cutout needs to be for the marble. So if you click this use tool with this line on the edge of it, and then just click the outside edge of that circle, it'll transfer the edge of this marble or sphere, not circle, as a sketch line. You can see that's an actual line now in my sketch, and then we're just going to use that to build off of the marble to make the rest of the part. Click offset and then click that line, and it's going to push a line, and we need tolerance. If you grab this, you can drag it. We need a very, very tiny gap in between the 3D printed top and the marble. If you don't put a space in there, if you make it exactly the same size, you won't fit the marble into the top. So anyway, when you click this, oh, I clicked the arrow, that'll flip the direction of it. When you click it and it turns with that white box on it, you just type in 0.02, and this is going to be really tiny. You're going to have to zoom in super far to see how close that line is, but that's the spacing that the 3D printer needs to make this fit. So we're just going to click the line tool, make sure it should pop. If it doesn't do that, you hit escape and start over again, but you need to make sure that you connect this line the right way. It's a little bit tricky, but you've got to have that connection point there, like that. And then you're just going to go up 35 millimeters. So what you do is you hover here, click, when you see the white box there, type 35, enter, zoom back out. There you go. And then you're going to come over 5 millimeters. I'm modifying this throughout because I keep tweaking it to see what I can do to get a better design, which is exactly what I'm hoping you guys do. And this doesn't have to be anywhere specific. Just click and build this box shape like so. Make sure this is vertical for now, and then make sure that this is connected to that outside circle. So you can see you have that completed shape. And before we go any further here, what we're going to do is we're going to cut away this piece of line that you don't need. You just click on it, and now you just have that offset rate arc there for you to work with. Dimension, you're going to go from the center point to the outside of the top, and that's going to be 25 millimeters, so it's overall 50 when it's done in diameter. You want to make this line here, this vertical line, 10. And you don't need measurements. The measurements that you have here are all the measurements that are necessary to lock that shape, that rough shape in. And then what I've done is sketch fillet. If you click this little round over tool, it's called fillet, not fillet. Click these two corners. The default is going to be 5. If not, you can just click on it and then type in that 5 there, but that's exactly what you want to make this perfect round over. And then you can just revolve this, revolve. It should automatically highlight the shape, and then you click where it's red, revolve axis, select that line. It's funny, this did this earlier too. Didn't select it right the first time. Now it's doing the same situation there, but that's fine. So what you do is if you have to modify these, you can just click here, click in the shape, click in this red field, then click the axis, and that's the general procedure for revolve. You want this saying new and not adding them together, so they're two separate parts. And then we're going to toy around with making a grip on the top here. So click sketch on the top of the top. Use, if you click this use and project tool and click this circle, it'll turn that edge into a new line on the sketch so you can use it. I'm going to make little like gear type teeth here. This is going to take some trial and error. I can give you my measurements as I go here, but like, just watch in general. You can put a diagonal line. This is sculpting. You don't need exact measurements just yet. And then you put a vertical line here, like so. And what I want you to do is mirror by, okay, so I gotta, it says select the mirror line when you click the mirror tool. It's just using symmetry. So you select that vertical line as a mirror line, and then you click that, and then hit enter. And now whatever you do, I'm gonna hit escape to get my white arrow there. That white arrow is my selector. You see a plus symbol, it means you're actively using a tool. With this mirroring, everything being symmetric, you can take a better look at how this will end up working. And if you want specific measurements, here. 1.2 would be a good measurement for that, and then just do something more rounded. I'll do 0.75. This is what I'll lock in for my final measurement there. And then circular pattern. What you're going to do is click that and then click these two lines. You don't want a pattern in that center. And then we're going to take a guess at how many we need. I'm going to say 25 for the start. 25. Not close enough together. Double click it, change that to 30, 40, well, you can tweak it as much as you need. 42. It's actually better for print purposes to not have that sharp edge there, so I'm going to leave that at 40. All right, just give everybody a second to take a look at these measurements and what I did. So 1.2 millimeters vertical line down, and I just mirrored that and made the spacing 0.75 millimeters. And 40. Cancel that alarm. Okay, so if you finish this sketch, what you can do is, and this is a little bit time consuming, but if you hit extrude, you'll have an idea what's about to happen here. Hit remove, it flips it and starts to remove. You can type in 35 if you want it to hit the bottom. Watch. This original height was 35, and then what you do is you just click in through and select. You're gonna have to select all 40. If you click this, it's gonna give you an error. Just click it again and it'll unselect it. You could also delete your clicks here if need be. I'll try and do that, and then click to deselect the center. I don't know if that's going to work for me. That's right, I clicked something that I didn't want. Extrude. Just giving this a whirl. So I'm clicking or highlighting just over everything in that sketch and then trying to click in the middle and deselect it. Computer's not going to keep up with me. That's fine. I'm trying to also do this. Remove. And it's removing everything. That's fine. A little bit of patience. And you can click in those two separate sections there and get the whole thing. Just one. There's lots of ways you can do this. And I'll take a look at your design, and as long as it's printable, I will print whatever you decide to try out here for this. The prints are going to take about 3.5 hours, depending on the detail. Just something to consider as far as timing things. Alright, so I've got everything selected there, and I can hit the green check mark or just hit enter on the keyboard when I'm done. That default extrude distance, if I right click on this or just double click it, that's for sketches. You gotta right click on there. This, if you want it to run all the way down to the bottom part of the top here, You can actually, there's a neat tool. You can type in 35. That's the actual measurement. But you could also click up to face when you're doing this, and then just select a surface. So that way it's considered, it's then parametric. If you adjust the height of this, it's still going to always take that extrude all the way down to the face that you've selected, which is a powerful way of thinking about 3D modeling and designing well. I'm going to leave it that way, just so you can see that I've selected a face for the extrude to travel to, rather than a measurement. Okay. Again, as long as this is shared with me and my account, I can go in and edit this for you. You got to make sure that you right-click and rename these files with your last name. And get in a habit of, if you're doing multiple projects, version labeling, not just calling it your name and what it is, but version 1, so then you can duplicate files like this, right click, rename it, call it version 2, and then you can modify it. You know, if you want to play with a different style or whatever, you just take your copy, delete back to where you'd want to adjust it, and you can do, you might as well do this because it's fun and it's pretty easy to learn once you understand the program. If I click that helix tool, it's going to put, there it is. There's the endpoint of the helix. This can be changed to all kinds of different options. And then you're going to do is where this end point meets the plane, which it's hitting the front plane perfectly. Gonna finish that helix, put a sketch on the front plane, and right where this intercepts, I'm going to put a circle, and then I'm going to do a sweep. Alexa, stop. Oh my gosh, that's 3 times. Sweep, take the circle, click in the red field where it says sweep path, and you can see that's just another option. How do you wipe something like this out? If it's overhanging, you can click on that, sketch that, actually I'm going to transfer this edge, use this edge to then do this with just a box. Extrude. This whole shape you got to remove. Just click remove and it's going to go backwards and it'll slice that flat on top. Just another option. Something that I've done in class, you can see. All right, that should get you there. I'm looking for everybody to come up with a couple of different design options, and we'll print them and test them and see how they work. And then we're going to package these things when we're done. So I'll see y'all soon. Thanks for watching.